Welcome to Love Lately, the podcast where we dive into the real conversations about love, relationship, and all the joys and challenges that come along with finding love and keeping it after 50.
Okay, so look, whether you're looking for love, starting over, or navigating the ins and outs of long-term commitment, we're just here to share our journey and the insights we've discovered with you.
I'm Lee, and this is my husband, Ron, and we definitely don't have all the answers. Like, trust me, we do not have all the answers. But we have many questions, and we want to unpack them with you. We will talk about what love looks like in this stage of life and how we can make it work.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and join us for honest, heartfelt, faith-filled conversations that remind us all it is never too late for love.
Welcome to Love Lately. Welcome to Love Lately. I'm Lee Rogers.
I'm Ron Rogers.
And today we are talking about baggage. Baggage that we carry into relationships. And you know, this podcast is about love after 50.
After 50.
Maintaining it, keeping it, achieving it, all those things. So you know, after 40, 50, and sometimes even younger than that, people have baggage.
Yes.
And what do we do with it?
Well, baggage is...
Yes, let's talk about the word baggage.
Yeah, baggage can be, sort of a negative connotation.
Yeah.
You know, we all got stuff. Stuff that's just lingering, laying around, we hold on to, it's in our pockets. And just through our discussion, we came up with a term, residue.
Actually, it wasn't through our discussion. It was you. And I like it. I love the term. When we first started dating, I was more fresh out of a relationship than you were. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about
residue. Yeah.
And he didn't call it baggage. He called it residue. And I like that term.
Yeah, it's just stuff that's just lingering. Things we hang on to, things that we've became accustomed to, used to doing things a certain way. And just, and sometimes that baggage, residue, is kind of hard to get rid of. Yes. Hard to wash it away,
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk today about what to do with baggage, what to do with the residue that happens when you've lived life and things happen and you come into a relationship with another person who's had life and had residue.
And even what it looks like.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have residue and stuff hanging on and stuff that we're holding on to and carrying into the next phase of our lives, or what we hope to be the next phase of our lives. And we've become so accustomed to it and so comfortable with it that it becomes residue and we don't even know it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess the first point, and you've already mentioned it or alluded to it, is that all of us have residue.
Yes.
All of us have residue. So sometimes we're looking for our knight in shining armor, and we're like, oh, he has too much baggage or residue. And I think just acknowledging when we are out there dating and looking that we all have it. We all have stuff.
Yes. We all have stuff. We all have our own experiences. We all have our own track record, our own lives that we've lived. And we've carried stuff and brought stuff along with us.
Yeah.
And it's a natural thing. We all have it. And so it's important, like we discussed, that we just talk about it.
Right.
Talk about it,
So what's the first point that we want to start off with how to deal with the residue that we encounter when we're dating or when we're already married? We still have it.
Yes, we still have it. But you talked about liking someone.
Mm-hmm. That's one of my big questions. Yeah. When I'm talking to some of my friends, I was going to say counseling, talking to some of my friends that are struggling through the dating and they're giving off the long list of things that, they don't like or struggling with. I always go back to, but do you like him? Do you like who he is at the core? Because when you really like someone, even before the love stuff, when you really like who they are, then you're like, okay, I can work with this. We can figure this out.
Yeah. I think like definitely comes before love. And it's important that you like the person that you're interested in, like the person that you're seeking to build with, like the person enough to understand the residue.
Yeah.
Understand that I carry some residue, and we can we don't want to look past it, but we're able to accept it, talk about it. We can still build around it, and we can continue to move forward because we all have it.
Right.
We all have it. And just because I have some residue doesn't make my residue any bigger than your residue. We all have it.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so that goes to the second point, and I think it's a point that you made when we were talking about this, is self-reflection, like asking God to show you your own residue, your own baggage, because again, we can get maybe a little overconfident and think that we have gotten rid of our residue and our baggage and that they're the only person that has it, but doing some self-reflection. What's your stuff?
At a certain point in our lives, over 40, our lives are established, our careers are established. We kind of know where we want to go in life. But when it comes to relationships, it's a little more difficult to compromise. Yeah. It's a little more difficult. So I always say that, we all want this great, meaningful, loving relationship. God, send me this person.
Right.
Send me this person that's going to love me and, it's going to be all the things on this checklist, right? But I think for me, it was important for me to ask God to prepare me.
Yeah.
To prepare me. Show me myself and prepare me for that which you have for me. Prepare me for that love that's coming into my life. Prepare me. Show me myself. Right. Show me the residue. Show me where I fall short. Show me the things I need to release and let go of. Show me those things that get in the way, those stumbling blocks. Right. And a lot of times they could continue to reoccur in our lives in every relationship.
Right.
Every relationship.
Yeah. And what's the common denominator? It's
me.
You. Yes,
always.
Me.
And all those relationships.
Right. Yes. So you carry you with you wherever you go. Yes. And so if you're continually having the same issues, it's really time to look at yourself. And so self-reflection is really important, self-awareness, and really asking God to show you yourself.
Show me my residue. Show me where those things that I'm holding on to. I always say a great analogy I love is that, we want this beautiful steak. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But, it's hard to continue. It's hard to receive that $50 if I keep holding on to that $5.
Right.
You know what I mean? So some things I have to let go.
Right.
I have to let go some things. I have to remove some things. I have to ask God to show me those things that I need to remove, those things I need to change.
Yeah.
Prepare me.
Yeah.
Prepare my heart, prepare my mind, change my thinking. Help me to be a little more open-minded, a little more accepting.
Yeah. And that was another point that I really wanted to bring out, was the importance of making space for something new to come in. So we knew we were going to talk about baggage. So I've been kind of meditating on it and thinking about it. And I think, because we've had a long distance relationship for a while, we have traveled a lot, been in a lot of airports and packed a lot of bags. And I think about specifically him, when he would travel, there was always like, okay, am I going to have to pay extra for the baggage? What can I take out? Like all those things. And so when we have baggage, especially if it's over the allotted amount, we're thinking about what we can take out. So when we think about baggage in our lives, have we made space for the new stuff to come in? And we hold on to baggage. We sometimes wear it, sometimes as a badge of honor, when we use words like, oh, I'm so triggered and all that other stuff, but are we working on healing and making space for something new to come in our lives?
I thought about that analogy you just made, with the baggage. Because if we don't get rid of the excess baggage, it always ends up costing
you. Yes.
It ends up costing us a little more, So it's important to pack light.
Pack light.
It's important to pack light.
I love that.
Let go of some of that stuff, man. And it's okay to release it and let it go. As we mentioned before, that it's hard to have something new being the same you.
Yes. Hard to have something new being the same you.
Absolutely.
And I don't want people to hear that, because that's a phrase that we will use a lot, and think that you can't be yourself.
Absolutely. It's not what it is. Yeah, absolutely.
You should be yourself.
Absolutely.
You should love who you are.
Yes.
But also with the self-reflection,
Yes.
thinking about what are some things that need to go.
Yes.
It's time to let go of it. I still think about it. And we went to the same college, so we know a lot of the same people. And if you are doing the same thing that you did 10 years ago, same mindset, same thoughts, same everything, that says a lot. Like, we should be every 5 or 10 years evolving. Yes. And if you're like the same person, same baggage, same issues from 10 years ago, it's time to do some self-reflection, some evaluation, right? Inventory. Yes.
Take an inventory. Look at those things that aren't serving me well. I can get those off the shelf. Restock. Get some new things in that may serve me, a little better in the direction I want to go in with this relationship, with love, with this new journey that I'm experiencing, So it's important to, like we talked about, liking the person enough to understand that there is residue, to understand that we can move, we can discuss it.
Right.
We can resolve it. We can move past it. But the main thing is just to do their self-reflection and be able to recognize your own stuff.
Right.
Recognize your own stuff and realize that it is stuff.
It is.
It's getting in the way.
Yeah.
I need to pack a little lighter.
Pack lighter. I love that.
Yeah.
And then we also talked about, so there's 2 prayers. We're thinking about the prayer of God, show me myself, the self-reflection, and being clear on our own residue and baggage.
Right.
And then the other prayer is also, God, send me someone that I need in my life to deal with the baggage, the residue, the stuff that's there, that is life experiences that is probably going to remain there because it's childhood pain or whatever it is. Yeah. But send me someone who can understand that, who can be patient with me, who can give me the grace to work through that. Yes. And sometimes we're praying about a lot of other things that we want in a mate, but asking for a mate that's going to help us work through our own stuff.
Yes. And the like is important, liking that person enough to understand that the baggage, sometimes we're going to clash. Sometimes, your baggage is your residue is going to show up. Yeah. My residue is going to show up. But let's not get caught up in battling with those that we should be building with.
Yes, that was a good point.
Yeah. So are we going to battle or are we going to build?
Yes.
Yes. We don't want to find ourselves battling with the one that we should be building with. And a lot of time we look at it and those battles are just a waste of time, a waste of energy, with the self-reflection. I can understand it. So that's my residue. I'm sorry, that's my residue. Or,
that was another point when we were discussing this. And I thought it was a good point because it's easy to slip into this where we spend so much energy talking about a hurt or some residue or some baggage that we end up spending too much energy on it, and it's pulling us away from the things that really matter and moving forward.
The building, absolutely.
The building, yes.
The building, yes.
So think about if you are in a relationship and you've recognized there's some residue there, there's some residue. Come up with a plan on how you're going to talk about it or deal with it, but complaining about it and talking to your friends about it over and over and over again, it will turn into you all turning on each other and not building together. Yes. But again, going back to that point of, do I like this person enough to work through it? Because there's always work to do. Always.
Yes, always work to do. Like is important. And as you said, it's important that we do understand our own residue. And then just having the willingness,
Mm-hmm.
to sit down and let's openly talk about it.
How soon do you think, we haven't talked about this, but how soon do you think a couple should start talking about their residue, in their own residue?
Well, I think if it's someone that you desire to have something meaningful with, or a long-term relationship, and you've invested time in this relationship, and you've both mutually decide that this is where we want to go, this is the path we want to take together, then it's time to start having those honest conversations.
So not talking about it, getting into it until there's potential for this to be more.
Yes, it's important to talk from the very beginning. You want to get to know who this person is. You want to like this person.
Yeah.
You want to like this person. So it's important to have those honest conversations. It's important to know who this person is, where this person came from, how this person grew up, what their family's like. Just getting to know the person. Yeah. And liking this person. Mm-hmm. Liking this person. It's important because then you make a decision and say, well, I like this person, regardless of the residue. This is a good person. It's good for my life. It's good for me.
Right.
I think with us, it was a joy and a peace that I found with you. And I think what humor has gotten us through a lot of the residue because it was just something that we can laugh about. Mm-hmm. We can laugh about it. We could talk about it. We could be honest about it and saying, yeah, you're right. This is my stuff.
Right. I think humor, yes, but there have been some times where we were really struggling to probably understand each other. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to reveal what was said, but there was a recent disagreement that we had, and we had went a couple days where we were struggling, right, to get on the same page. And you finally broke down and you were like, this is my issue. This is my issue. This is a fear that I have. Mm-hmm. And it was like a big aha moment for me. It almost it reset the way that I saw him and maybe just understand him in a deeper way. And because I love him and I like him, I took that information and I treasured it and kept it, meaning I didn't go share it with all my friends and let me tell you what he said. But it was one of those where now I understand, let me move differently. Mm-hmm. And help him. And that goes to another point of be curious about whoever you're with. Be curious about whomever you're with. Want to know their family origin. Want to know what are their biggest fears? What are their biggest heartbreaks? What are they hoping and dreaming for? Because that will help you to understand the residue more. And probably offer more grace. So.
Well, fear, residue.
Yes.
We all have fears, but I think it was exposed to me through that self-reflection, through prayer and asking God, what is this? Show me what this is.
What is this?
What is this? And show me what this is. And the revelation was, my fears. Mm-hmm. But then being honest enough to share exactly what it was.
Vulnerable.
Yes.
That was a vulnerable moment for you.
To share exactly what it was because, I do like her. And
you all right.
Yeah. And so just being able to share that and to be honest about it, because I think it's important if we're going to continue to build instead of battle. Yeah. And those honest reflections, that honest inventory, being comfortable enough to discuss that with you, knowing that it's going to stay right where it's supposed to be. Right. We were able to talk about it and move forward.
Yeah. And again, just that curiosity makes you want to look underneath what's really what you see. Because sometimes people have a hard time communicating what their fears are, what their baggage is. And sometimes as residue. Sometimes as women, I remember one of my pastors saying, God gave us the gift of intuition. And sometimes we need to use that gift and tap into it and look at our partners, the person we want to be our partner, our significant other, and use that gift. Like, what is really going on here? There's more to it than what I'm seeing.
Yeah. And I'm just sitting here thinking about humility and the humility that it required. Sometimes it's required to be honest and open and vulnerable. And I used to think, that humility was a sign of weakness, but, humility is a sign of strength.
Yeah.
There's true strength.
Absolutely.
True men, listen. There's true strength in humility. Humility is the way of strength. Mm-hmm. When you're able to honestly look at yourself, can have that vulnerable moment, can talk about those fears or anxiety or that residue openly with the person that you like, that you're building with, turn it from a battle and use it to build the relationship, build that love that's coming.
So some of the residue that we discovered, obviously we discovered through conversation and our own disagreements and digging in. And I think I picked up a lot of, maybe not baggage or residue, but understanding through learning about his family origin. And I'm sure you learning about mine too.
Yes.
And so how important do you think that is when you're dating and married? Like, this is for married people too. Like, if you're over 50 and married and making sure this is it, the last one, the last thing, understanding family origin is really important. Like,
I mean, we didn't immediately go into, I want you to meet my family.
Right.
And I know that comes over time. It comes with, and you want to make sure that this is something that you want to move forward with, someone that you want to build with. And so it is important to
understand what happened in your childhood. Yes. What was your childhood like?
Understand all those family dynamics.
The family dynamics. Yeah.
There's a lot of insight in family.
Yes.
Being around your person's family, watching them interact with your family, watching the family interact with them, listening to those stories.
And how they talk about their family.
Yes.
And how they perceived their upbringing. I mean, I know there's a lot of other life experiences that happen in our life, but how someone grew up and how they perceived their childhood, their parents, relationships. I think maybe our first conversation, maybe second conversation, you told me my parents are the greatest love story for me.
Yes.
So I knew then, like, his parents were super important to him. Love was important to him, marriage, commitment. He talked about his dad pretty much every conversation we had. He was my hero. My parents are my greatest love story, greatest example of marriage. So that was already showing me a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot to glean from just those family experiences and just listening.
Yeah.
Listening and, seeing what those family dynamics are like with, the individual you may be interested in. And it's all different. It's different for everyone,
Right.
But if it's something that's important to you, family's important to you, this gives you a lot of insight into the person that you may be interested in.
Definitely. Yeah. So we hope that this has been helpful. Let's recap a few of our points as we start to wrap this up.
Yes.
Thinking about residue. Not baggage.
Yeah. Just some stuff.
Yeah. Some stuff. So, number one, thinking about everyone has residue. We don't get out of this life without having experiences that were sometimes painful and have shaped who we are. So we all have residue.
And it's important it was important for me, I'm sure for you also, that we pray and ask God to show us that stuff.
Show us our own self-reflection.
That stuff that keeps getting in the way, that stuff that I have brought along with me, that stuff that I keep packing in my bags.
Yeah.
That I go to the, to the counter, and it
Yes.
always costs me a little extra because I got a bunch of stuff in my bag that I could probably have left somewhere else. You know what I mean? So it's important to pack light.
Oh, I'm having like an analogy thing here because we've traveled so much. I travel for work a lot too. And I think about when I was really, really traveling a lot and I would bring home my suitcase and I knew that I was going to be leaving again soon, I wouldn't even unpack. I would half unpack and then half put stuff back in.
Just stuff everywhere.
Not analyzing what is my next trip going to be and what do I need to pack. The baggage, right? And so just really thinking about what we're carrying around and
end up bringing some of that old stuff.
Some of the old stuff into
the new trip.
Some of the old stuff into the new.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring this with me. Where'd this come from?
Yes. So that's kind of like our third point about making space, like getting some of that stuff out and making sure we're making space for the new.
Yes.
And the fourth point was also really knowing, do you like this person enough to work through the baggage?
It's important.
The residue.
Like, before love comes the like.
You gotta like them.
You have to like the person. You have to like the person regardless of the stuff in the baggage.
Right.
It gives you the willingness to continue to press. It gives you the willingness to understand when we start to battle that we can push that to the side and continue to build.
Right.
Instead of battling.
Yeah. And also just showing vulnerability, being honest, and also being really curious about the other person and what's underneath everything that you're seeing. Yes. Yeah. I'm going to do a side step real quick because I just remembered a conversation I had with someone recently when we were talking about baggage, and they were sharing that they have friends who don't want to get married again because they don't want to have to deal with the financial baggage, financial issues, financial past of anyone else. I think they've been burned in the past and all these things. And they're like, I'm not interested in getting married again because I don't want to deal with anybody else's financial stuff. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, it's the reality of life.
Yeah.
It's the reality of life, and it's important to be smart about those things. But we don't want to let that prevent us from having something wonderful and spectacular and amazing in our lives.
Right.
That's, as adults, we should be able to navigate through those things, talk about those things, be honest about it.
Right.
Be honest about where you're at. Be honest about what your desires are. Be honest about, your place.
Right.
And if you like the person enough,
like them. You've got to like somebody enough. Like that wouldn't be. I mean, everybody's different, and I've had like financial past issues in relationships, but I feel like if you trust them and like them enough, we can figure that kind of stuff out.
Yes, we can figure it out. It just takes an honest conversation. Again, that's
honesty,
self-reflection, honest conversation. I want to know where you're at. I want to know what you're thinking. We can work through it, because I like you.
Right.
I like you, and I don't want that to get in the way of something amazing that we can have.
And I think it's also like talking to someone and understanding what they see as part of their future. Like, what do you envision? If we're over 40, over 50, what do you say sometimes? We have more time behind us than we do ahead of us. Like, how do you want this story to end for you? And do you see someone with you? Do you see yourself by yourself with a great credit score? Like, what is the goal here? What is it that you really want? And being able to ask someone that and really get an answer.
We don't want fear. We don't want fear to prevent us from having something amazing that God may have for us in our lives. We don't want that fear of those things that we think about. We can overcome that fear with some conversation, talking about it, being honest about it, and trusting our process, having a little faith in just the whole process and journey that we've decided to go on.
Exactly. So again, thank you all for being a part of this podcast and watching us talk about, listening to us talk about this. And hopefully this has been helpful to you, and we can hear some great stories about how you have worked through your residue and you are now in a wonderful relationship. Yay.
Yes. Yay.
So stay tuned. Make sure if you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button.
Please.
Share it with other people. Give us a review and let us know if there's a topic you'd like for us to dive into. Let us know. And again, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Love Lately. We hope today's conversation sparked some thoughts and maybe even some inspiration for your own love story.
Remember, love does not have an expiration date. It should always be evolving and growing, and so are we together.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement in their love journey.
And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to discuss, just drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, keep finding, building, and enjoying love lately.